Yeah, man. Everybody want the panties getting thrown onto the stage and everything. Okay, so let me get my sound right about there. Everything right sounds amazing. There. Yep, that's mine. That's the one. Yep. Miss Felicia, give us the green light when everything's rolling on your side, and I will get the show started. Started by.
I've never been. Yeah, right. Yep. Never been in front of one of these mics, so
ever. That's the first. You might scoot over just a little bit, but like this one. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, just so I can get this framing right.
He was asking me to move the mic. I was like, I don't even really want to.
Without touch nothing. You good. You at home, brother. You at home now.
You're listening to KGBC 96.9 FM in Oakland and streaming online at www.kgbc96.9.org. This is the Anything Can Happen show with Kenya Asa, Quezzy Dreams, and your man Cat Fitness. Today we have an amazing special guest for y'all. How can I put it? I would call him the mayor of Richmond, actually. The mayor of Richmond. He runs the city, in my opinion, you know. At least I think eventually he probably will run for mayor because he does so much amazing community work. He's really in the streets out there in the rich, right? Can you tell me a little bit more about him over there, Brother Quezzy?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So you may have heard the name Najari Smith. You may have heard the name RichCityRides. You may have heard the name, the unofficial official mayor of Richmond, California, but we're going to bring it to you live. So we have an incredible gentleman in the building today. And oh my goodness, RichCityRides, in case you don't know, is a bike shop with a mission. Their dedicated staff and volunteers come together to help create a healthier city. Their programs focus on creating opportunities to improve health and economics. You know, I like that. By promoting cycling as a social, sustainable, and green mode of transportation. So we'll definitely give you some more information, but give a round of applause, give some cheers, give some whoop whoops for the unofficial mayor of Richmond, Mr. Najari Smith in the building.
What's going on, Najari? How you doing today?
Getting used to these mics,
they catch everything.
Yeah. Everything.
So, man, I know this is the first episode of the new year. You know what I'm saying? And I had to bring it, 2022, we had to go hard. So I was like, if I could get somebody that's doing big things in the inner city communities, let's bring them out, let's highlight them, and let's show, the Bay Area what it's all about.
What they do.
Yeah.
What they do.
So, Najari, can you tell the community, you're not originally from the Bay Area, but you reside here now. This is your home place. Where are you originally from?
Originally from a planet called
Brooklyn. Planet!
Yeah.
Shout out to Planet Brooklyn.
And moved around quite a bit. Came out here for Canarsie and Clinton Hills. And the feeling just really loved up. And I had a beautiful yesterday. I'm having a wonderful today. And I just, I can't wait to see what tomorrow holds.
Good. Man, how did you get to the Bay Area? Can you tell us a little bit about that, all the way from Brooklyn? Because that's like the polar opposite side of the U.S. You know what I'm saying? You could have stopped anywhere and developed, this community work that you're doing, but you decided to bring it to the Bay.
To the Bay.
I came particularly to Richmond. I think there's the history of the Great Migration with Black folks coming from the South.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just the history of people moving and looking for opportunity. And the company that I was with at the time, they had presented me with the opportunity to be the manager, to manage their new locations, the first office on the West Coast.
Wow.
And, I moved on faith.
So you've been a boss, Najari. That little humble flex.
Yo, and that's actually something during the week of Kwanzaa, I was really focused on just faith. Just like how we get on elevators on faith. something that popped up was, I was in New Mexico some time ago, and I don't know what they call those. It's like a lift that they take you up into the mountains.
Oh yeah, mountain lift.
And it went from really hot at the bottom to really cold as we was just moving up on this lift, and got to see these boulders like up close, ginormous, and made it there safely. And I was underdressed, had to get like an extra sweater up at the top. I think they know that because they got sweaters and things at the gift shop.
There we go.
And we did that on faith. We didn't expect anything to go wrong.
But a lot of people don't work on faith. You know what I'm saying? Like, it takes a lot for you to know whatever purpose that you had, and you knew it was like, okay, this is the next step in my journey. Like, I need to open up. Did you know it was going to be a bike shop when you came out here? That was the next step in your chapter, or once you got out here, you were kind of feeling the vibes, and you're like, it just came to you?
Thank you for that question. My background is in illustration, animation.
Wow.
3D art, mostly like painting, and I got a background in graffiti.
Ooh, Brooklyn.
Yeah, so I remember bikes have like appeared throughout my childhood, throughout my 20s and teens. I skateboarded a lot. I still do rock a board every now and again. But the bike shop thing that happened, when they came about, there's a whole story of how I got into,
Come on,
deeply into bikes.
Break it down
to the
us.
people, brother.
Yeah,
Listen.
The whole transition of going from what I was doing and what brought me out here to what I'm doing now. And, that's just amazing. In many ways, bikes, they came into my life during like a really transformational period. I got greatly inspired by the Scraper Bike team that rode past my crib on a Halloween night. And I was just going through so many things at that time that I just needed to change. So I did. And it's been great. I got deeply into bikes, and things have like cycled back around.
No pun intended.
No pun intended.
Yeah, you said cycle back around. If y'all didn't catch that one.
More might come though. Stay sharp.
Yeah.
To me, like focusing on painting, drawing, and keeping with all of that, my desire to build community. When I think of RichCityRides, what we're doing is we're creating just connected neighborhoods and communities. We just happen to do that with bikes. Bikes are like the Trojan horse. It's a thing that gets people to come to us. They don't know what they're gonna get, and all of a sudden they're making friends. They have a different eye on what the street of the street and the conditions. We're able to like have these talks on how we can build the new. What things do we need that even goes beyond bikes? We need sidewalks, right? We need more businesses. We need housing. We can't ignore when we're on the path and we see folks that don't have a house. Everybody deserves a place to live.
Wow. So y'all are like an equity group.
You could say that. Yeah.
Okay, we can say that.
Yeah. That's definitely a spoke on the wheel.
Okay, I like that. And let me ask you this: so, what community or communities do you aim to serve through the work you're doing?
What communities do we aim to serve? We aim to uplift disadvantaged communities, folks that have been barred from access to opportunities. And that reflects in my background too. I grew up, my mom was a single mother. It was me and my little brother. I grew up on welfare. And I remember as a kid, my thing was, I just don't want to ever be poor again. I just didn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that I was proud of. It's just hard for me to say it now.
Yeah.
But it taught you so much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, how we can say like that rose that grew out the concrete, right? A lot of us have that experience, and we saw what our families went through, the struggles, the trials and tribulations, and we're like, man, I don't want to be the next generation of that, you know. And for us to use our creative abilities to go back into our communities and add so much value like you're doing currently, it's just a beautiful thing to see, you know. Man, how it has to be at least like 4 years since we first met. Since, you know, at least 4 years.
Y'all deep in the game.
Yeah, and we just crossed paths, and we've done, you know, we co-partnered certain projects together and everything like that. But it's a certain language and a certain vibe you get with people that are doing the same kind of work, just maybe a different lane. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we all have the same mission of just uplifting those around us.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And I see that with you every time that, you know, you guys do your community work, and just having that shop where you have it in Richmond. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's taking kids that maybe not normally have any kind of activities or, you know, extracurricular activities, and giving them opportunities to release that energy in a community that may not have something to serve them, you know? Right. And that's huge.
That is, it really is. And I got to ask this question for our listening audience. So I know there's an unofficial East Coast, West Coast beef that's been bubbling up since at least the 80s. You know what I'm saying? And we got a transplant over here from Brooklyn. So can we get a little compare and contrast, right? So if you had to compare the Bay Area to Brooklyn, if it's even a comparison, but what are some things that you like about the Bay and dislike about the Bay versus Brooklyn?
That's such a hard question.
Really?
It's a hard question because I really do love
the Bay. Because the Bay is hot.
Hey, I mean.
But I'm the only one here born from the Bay.
I live here.
A lot of people live in the Bay.
I'll also say I love Brooklyn.
Yeah. It's like kind of saying who's your favorite kid. That's what no one's asking you. You know what I'm saying?
Everybody got a favorite kid. Everybody got a favorite kid.
You know, but I expected there's something special about the first kid.
Yeah.
You know, that came about during a certain time of your life, as well as the second kid. That came around during a certain time of your life. So it's like, oh, you know, you guys made good preferences on experience.
I mean, I know they got New York pizza, they got Detroit pizza, they got LA pizza that looks like a burrito, but everybody got a preference. You saying no preference, like Brooklyn and the Bay Area, they the same, they equal plateau? No. Okay.
No, it's like you know, different types of suits. You might like both suits, but they're like different types of shoes. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, you know, you like ties, but this tie right here is this thing. This tie right here, you know. So, you know, you asked me like, I think y'all pizza is big in New York, but I didn't have Ethiopian food until I came to the Bay.
Shout out to the Ethiopians.
Yeah. But they got, you know, when I go to New York, I'm all about the halal food trucks. You know? Indian food in the Bay is delicious.
Yeah.
But I have not, you know, if anybody got any recommendations for like a Jamaican food restaurant, you know, there's a lot
out here.
Yeah.
Good luck.
I have not seen one in Flatbush. I lived in Flatbush for like 8 years, and you know, I've not tasted the food that I've tasted there anywhere else.
Oh, you know what?
All of America.
Actually, it's not so much a restaurant, but I will give a little free plug to Mentos. Mentos Jamaican is downtown. They seem fairly new, but they got like smoothies and they got like meat pies or patties, and I think some plantains. But I haven't seen like too much like what's it called? Rice and peas. Rice and peas and jerk chicken. I haven't seen too much of that there. But
Aki is sawfish.
Come on, dog. You gonna get me all hungry. You're hungry for knowledge right now.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a quick question. When you first started RichCityRides, obviously that initial vision that you had, what was it for the community, and how has it grown over the years?
When I first started it, you know, kind of launched off of me being really big into art and bikes. I've also been an arts commissioner for the city of Richmond as well. And the first project that we had was influenced because there was a council member who said that people in Richmond don't ride bikes, and more specifically, Black people don't ride bikes.
Wow, have you broken that myth?
Tenfold. I slammed.
We seen you.
We
seen you.
I uppercut.
You gave him to Mike Tyson.
Oh man, right?
Right.
That overhand hook, that haymaker. Yeah, that myth. But one of the things that RichCityRides does is we're big around like amplifying and uplifting, culture that hasn't been given the podium it deserves.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't have a bike shop in Richmond, and it was a youth that came to me and was like, we need a headquarters. This youth was also in our programs and started our first bike club. So the bike shop came about with that movement. And we did it totally different. We did it as a work on cooperative. Our thing was this needs to we need to make sure that this stays in the community for the next 10 generations. Everything that we do has to be around long after. We want to be them ancestors that can see the descendants and they're like, saluting us and throwing high fives to our name.
Wow.
That's really important. I want to leave a really beautiful path for the next generation to continue.
That's beautiful.
Or remix it any way that they see fit.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. We talking about generational wealth paying it forward. Technically, we already are somebody's ancestors, right? Because time is not linear, so we are here and somebody else is here at the same time, looking up to what we're doing. But let me ask you this: like you seem like a very humble and grounded individual, right? I could be misreading, you could be a little shy. I don't know. But have you always been that way? Like, have you always been this version of Najari?
I've gone through, I've gone through a lot of development. I've gone through a lot of development. The me of now is the me that I'm becoming is even something that's, that I don't feel like the world is with.
What are some practices that you had to implement to get to this point that you weren't implementing in your past self?
Well, it's faith in the things that I could build and understanding how much time it takes to build those things. The importance, what 2021 did for me is maybe recognize the importance of sleep.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a hot bar.
So we break it down to our viewers. This show is all about giving the game, and something that you say right now is going to uplift and change somebody's future path, right? Absolutely. So give them a little game about how sleep played a huge part in 2021 for you to be as woke as you are in 2022.
So, when I first started RichCityRides, I was doing a lot of, one, I was getting up early in the morning. I do like 2 hours of just like drawing and painting. And then I would, this is like around the transition of me like leaving the company that I was with and starting this new thing. But from the time that I got up, and this is also during the moment that I was battling insomnia.
Wow.
So when I couldn't sleep, I just got up and I did something. I didn't just sit in the bed and stare at the ceiling. I got something done just before I would go to work. When I came for after work, I started boxing. And it's also with the biking movement. I started riding my bike, everywhere.
And this is in Richmond?
This was actually just before I moved, before I came to Richmond. Before I came to Richmond, I was in Fruitvale.
Oh wow.
In East Oakland, and I came to Richmond from West Oakland.
Wow. Okay.
Just up the block from Bobby.
Yeah. And how long you been in the Bay?
10 years now.
Oh wow.
Actually, 10 plus years.
Yeah, you a vet.
I got some stars now. I'll take them all. I'm not giving any years back.
Outstanding. But please continue to expand on the routine.
And it was actually following this routine. There's something about using every little ounce of the time that you have, undistracted, focused on the thing that you're building, that actually gives you that divine sleep.
Mm.
So when it was time for me to go to bed, I rested. I didn't just go to bed. And I went so hard, I didn't even realize that that's what I was doing. And when I started to do RichCityRides, things, I was doing this very new thing, and the anxiety was getting to me, because I was facing opposition. There was still things around what the culture was at that time, and I stopped doing things that were nurturing me. I wasn't boxing anymore.
So you wasn't filling your cup up before you was kind of distributing
recharging myself.
That's what I'm talking about.
I was acting like the battery just had unlimited energy and didn't need to recharge. When you rest, you are recharging.
Yeah, man.
When you make time for yourself, and for me, riding my bike was meditating. And it got to, I said it in the meetings in 2021, because I went on this binge where I just rode my bike. For the first time I did it for 20 straight days, 21 straight days. Then the second time I did it for 40 straight days. Racked up a lot of miles, and that was just a game changer. We don't realize how much time we don't make for ourselves.
Right.
There's a lot of great work that's happening, but there's a lot that's being done by a lot of folks. I'm speaking from my own experience, who are not recharging their own batteries.
Yeah.
Right. And can you speak a little more to that for people, especially entrepreneurs and business owners, especially people who have families, who might feel like there are so many things pulling them in so many different directions, and they don't know even where to start when it comes to recharging? Like, what would you recommend to them?
I would say for families, it's good to understand that kids want to be a part of building a family. So it's like a different way of looking at the chores. Expressing that, hey, this allows this for this to happen. And we need everybody to throw in. And that's kind of how I treat community. When we do our rides, there are no audience members. They're all participants. Everybody's playing a part.
Yeah.
You're not just on the ride. You're helping us out.
Yeah.
And this is what we need you to do. Same thing with bicycle repair workshops, and it expands to how we should be as a community.
Right.
We should be looking out for each other. It really does take a village. We all have village.
Yeah.
And I think I jumped away from something, but that taking care of yourself is. Sometimes we think that taking care of ourselves means that we ain't doing nothing. You are doing something. You're taking care of yourself.
Right.
Resting isn't doing anything. You are doing something. You're resting.
How much time do you allot to that for yourself? You know what I'm saying?
Well, this brings me back to getting up early. I get up early and I actually go to sleep. Not at night out.
Well, what's early?
8, 9 o'clock.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You missed all the good stuff.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Check it out. When I start off in the morning, and I start like journaling, hold on, let's really start up in the morning. When I start up in the morning and I take like 10 minutes to just breathe and meditate and rest, like resting in, it's like I'm preparing for when for everything else that's gonna happen.
Yeah,
exactly.
When I start I'll start working on a project in the morning, and even if I don't get back to that project, everything else that I do throughout the day is bringing me back to the project that I was working on earlier. So later on, I can work on that project some more. And having done that whole sequence of things is really beneficial. And I like to end my day with, sometimes I'll start my morning off with a workout, because I really like it. It introduces me to my favorite part of the day. And it's just like something that I have forgotten from years past.
I was gonna say that's when all the endorphins release. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like that creative space that when working out first thing in the morning, all those juices start to flow. And I even found myself having some of the best thoughts about creating certain things or things that I need to get done as I'm doing my workout. You know what I'm saying? It gives me it's a peace of mind.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man.
It's a part of the meditation.
So you're saying you can meditate in motion. You don't have to be seated
No.
with your legs crossed and your hands folded and eyes closed, humming.
There's many different ways to do it.
Yeah.
That was something new that I learned in 2022. Just the workout meditation.
Yeah, man. Just like you said, on the bike. Yeah, I've been on certain rides myself where it's like, man, I am in a whole different world, a whole different zone. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, okay, it's time to execute.
Yeah.
Once you receive those messages or those ideas, I think what a lot of people fail to realize is the next step is just to execute. Take a step towards what you felt in that moment, right? Some people get it, they receive whatever they receive, and then they go on to something else, whether they do social media, go to work, whatever the case may be, but they don't take the time to execute and become the creator.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And start to create on whatever aspect that was driven to them.
I got the whole idea to do the gallery while I was on the bike ride.
There you go.
The gallery?
Yeah, the Rich City Gallery.
Oh.
That's one of the ways that we came into 2022. We got the inspiration for wanting the bike hub. That came while I was on the bike hub, when I was on the bike ride, and that was like early, that was like 2012 that I was thinking about that. The bike shop, as I mentioned before, they came through one of the youth in our programs, but
one of the youth in the program said we need a bike shop, or we need to. Man,
he said we need a headquarters.
Yeah.
And this is like during the phase before we had the location at 1500 McDonald Avenue. We were like doing the workout out of a storage unit from a community member that I had met, who was also helping us with bicycle.
You know what I think is really dope? Even though how old was the kid at the time that said you needed a hub, or we needed a hub?
I think I met him when he was like 18. He said it like around
19. But taking the time to even be like, oh, that sounds dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, he'd be like, man, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Some people express themselves to somebody looking for some type of feedback, and then a lot of times people don't feed that energy. You know what I'm saying? They just brush it off. You're like, oh, okay, that sounds, for whatever reason, it caught your attention. Like, that sounds dope. Like, you're right. We need some kind of hub. Let's, and it sparked, it planted a seed that need to be nurtured and, have the time to go from point A to point Z.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm going to shout out Josue Hernandez.
Josue.
Come on. He's still with the program?
He's one of the 5 founders of the shop. He's not with the program now. He's happily married. He's got 2 kids.
Yeah.
He developed his love for photography and branched out into that.
Hey.
Yeah, outstanding. When was RichCityRides founded, like officially?
August 21st, 2012. I'm sorry, August 12th, 2012.
August 12th, 20. Oh, okay, so y'all are about 5.5 years, or no, 9.5 years in the game.
9.5. 10-year anniversary is this year.
Come on, what y'all doing for the 10-year anniversary?
Something big.
Something big.
We gotta do.
We're gonna shut down the streets of Richmond and have a huge ride. How about that?
We doing something like that, sort of for May 29th.
Okay.
That's I think it's the last Saturday in May. It's Ricky Antonio Rich City Day. And last year, it was our first year. We had bubbles and DJs and street painting. And,
wow.
Yeah, it was
live
last performances. Year? That was last year. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, that was our first time doing it. It was please try to shut it down. That didn't.
I want to. Matter of fact, hold on. We're gonna take a quick commercial break, and we're gonna come back to that because I've seen that on social media. You're listening to KGPC 96.9 FM Oakland and streaming online at www.kgpc969.org. This is the Anything Can Happen show with Kenya Asa, Quezzy Dreams, and your man Cat Fitness.
Yes.
If you're just now tuning in, you're listening to the official mayor of Oakland. You know, at least I'm going to call him the mayor of
It's
Oakland.
the mayor.
I mean, Mayor of Richmond. See, y'all got me all over the place.
The mayor of
today.
the Bay. Why not? Why not?
Man.
Except Hercules.
So I remember seeing on social media, I think this is the moment that you're talking about, the police officers, it was like 2 police officers, and you guys were like right in front of your establishment at RichCityRides, and they were looking to shut it down. And you guys had the music out there. You know, you blocked off maybe one street, but they were kind of giving you grief, and you were standing your ground. You know what I'm saying? You're like, man, we're actually doing something positive for the community, and you're messing with us. Like, there's people getting, you know, breaking into cars, doing all this other stuff, but you want to mess with this. Like, can you elaborate on that conversation that you had with the law enforcement at that moment and why you needed to stand your ground?
Sure.
First, before, were they white officers, black officers, mixed officers?
This was a white officer. It's a white officer. And, I got stories of black officers too, I'll say. But this situation was a white officer. And I want to give a shout out to Tay McGee. He's the co-owner of the shop. You know, multiple generations deep Richmond resident. It's my brother right there, and he was right there with me, and he wasn't back then. You know, so they came. The police came before we even did. You know, before the event even started.
This is daytime.
Yeah, it was still setting up things on Saturday morning, right? And you know, first it was like two officers that came, and you know, they asked us a bunch of questions, and you know, we finally we were still getting things rolled out. They became more insistent. Then 6 officers came. They brought, you know, some dude. I think it was like a sergeant or something. And you know, he's asking me about the event. I was telling him, yo, this is a community event. The community came together to organize this thing, you know, and that's it, you know. So he was going back and forth with me for a minute, and I started to express to him the other things, you know, where we actually need the police at.
And this is the police officer you're talking
Yeah,
about.
Police officer.
Because I remember the part where you start breaking it down, like, man, the park right down the street.
The park right down the street.
You know,
we had staff who had guns pulled on them from the bathrooms over there, so they really need to be like doing something about that, rather than, you know, harassing us for doing a community building safe event that promotes peace.
And what was their point of view like? Why were they trying to shut it down?
They were asking if we had permission to do it, if we had permits to do it.
Yeah.
You know, my thing was we got permission from the community to do this thing. You know, we need to, And shout out to Councilmember Willis, who was actually there. He was kind of like incognito in regular clothes. I don't even think the officer knew who he was until he gave him his card. So he stepped in.
That power.
So it was, you know, and we had gotten the shout out to the county, to the county supervisor's office, who let us use the generator for the day, so we have power for the DJ to come out and do this. You know,
shout out
to DJ National, who came out and spun for the day. Needless to say, while you know, the conversation with the officer took time away from us trying to organize this thing, it didn't stop. You know, eventually, you know, after they spoke to Councilmember Willis, they departed.
Wow.
They started doing, you know, the whole, give me your ID thing.
And the cops?
Yeah. I'm like, dang, don't y'all know how this ended before?
Oh my goodness.
And you know, the way I ended it, you know, was I tried to touch this cop's humanity. You know, I was just like, yo, you know that there's other things I I just told you of other places where you are needed.
Yeah.
You know, there's if you want to police, there's places for it, but this is not the place for it. And you work for us,
Man.
and this ain't working for us.
Man.
You know,
Come on.
That probably pissed him off a little bit.
He got hot under the collar, but you know, in but he works for us.
Yeah.
You know,
We do pay taxes.
So go do what we told you to do.
Oh
Stop
my
doing
goodness.
what we didn't tell you to do.
Hey, you know what's so interesting though? Our last episode of 2021 was actually with a police officer, with a black officer, and we were asking him. I know Cat recalls this as well. We were asking him, what do you think needs improvement across law enforcement, right? Like nationally, globally. And his answer, at least one of them, was empathy, right? Like police officers having more empathy when dealing with these situations, so they're not so quick to take aggressive action, right? And that's really interesting how that ties into literally the story that you're telling, right? Like trying to shut down something positive and literally right down the street within eye shot, there are people getting guns pulled off.
Told this officer that I see the divine spirit in him too. I just wanted to acknowledge that. And you know, as just as beings, you know, we're all connected in this world, and we have the option of producing, you know, destruction or building. So this officer had an opportunity to help us build something rather than trying to destroy something that was a community building thing. You know, I hope that it leads to there being opportunities for different types of communications. You know?
Have you thought of since that moment? Have you invited, Richmond PD to come out to some of the events and get to know the youth and what you guys are doing at Rich City Rides?
I'll tell you this. So there was some talks early on. You know, I think this might have, I don't know if this was before we did the event on the Ricky Antonio Rich City Day or after. But we had actually even prior to that, I had tried to have these conversations with the police chief in Richmond. You know, I think this is I tried to get these I tried to get these conversations going on with Visa French, and I tried getting these conversations happening with Chief Brown when he was the police chief, and they just never occurred. They'd have me talk to a liaison. You know, I was looking at them, you know, helping to fund some of these bike clubs, and they just never came through on that. You know, it was
like it wasn't a priority.
I was putting together budgets for it, you know, as they asked. You know, I was sharing my ideas about what we need to do, and they shrugged it off.
Yeah, it's so funny because when you're looking to build that next level of community, right? Building that relationship between law enforcement and inner city kids and just people in general, it's like, let's find something where we can bridge the gap. And then when you go to meet them halfway, not seeing that, seeing them want to make the same effort,
Right.
you know?
I'm wondering what is the disconnect on that with the empathy.
It's really, we can speak to this. we can talk about it, right? Because I know many of us have done, different forms of research, whether that's personal or scholastic, right? And one thing that's been a constant in this country is, of course, the lack of acknowledgement that we as African people are human beings, right? And from the very beginning, just thinking about our introduction to this country, we're the only group of people that was brought here against our will, right? We are not immigrants, right? We were enslaved people, and we were brought here, as everybody here knows, for that purpose, right? And in order to do that, in order to do what has been done to us and what continues to happen to us, we cannot be seen as humans, right, by the powers that be, because this allows them to treat us differently than they would treat their own children, than their own family, right? And that extends into every single structure, every foundational aspect of how this country has been built, right? Literally on the backs of our ancestors and our current and future descendants. So that's at least my perspective, my take on it. But, Kat?
So, I know we at least have one viewer right now that's dreaming, that has their own Rich City rides in their mind that they want to develop for the community and add value. What would be the first step that you would tell that viewer to get started on that project, just like you got started 10 years ago with Rich City Rides?
Do a little bit each day.
Mm.
Do a little bit each day.
Like, how much time did you invest when you initially started? Like, a little bit means what? Like 30 minutes, an hour?
When I first started, I jumped all the way in.
Mm-hmm.
I jumped all the way in. I was doing Rich City Rides, sometimes like 14 hours a day.
Wow.
And for me, I was just like so deep in the zone with it. That's just how it was. I'm gonna say start with 15 minutes. 15 minutes in the morning. Mix it up with a workout. Make sure you put some good fuel in your body.
What you mean by good fuel?
Water.
Ooh.
Let's start with some water.
Not soda,
not juice.
not cow milk.
Shout out to Urban Tilt, because food is fuel.
Uh-huh.
You can put bad fuel in your body, or even poisons in your body, or you can put good fuel in your body.
Yeah.
And it's all going to affect how your body processes it and works.
Yeah.
Now I ain't an expert to that. I'm just
Yeah.
trial and
You
error.
just lived
here.
it.
I just lived it. That's where I go to folks like Kat for.
Come on.
Right. So, but yeah, 15. What you'll find is that the more you do it, I'm gonna say this: consistency is the most the most powerful force in the universe. Don't do 15 minutes one day and then take like
a month off.
Definitely don't take a month off.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you not to take a day off. 15 minutes.
Just chip away at that masterpiece.
Day. I'm talking about weekends. I'm talking about New Year's. I'm talking about holidays. Every day, 15 minutes. What you'll find is there are days where you'll just go so far in, 15 minutes will turn into an hour.
Yeah.
15 minutes will turn into like 2 hours.
You start losing track of time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's a really popular book right now. It's called Atomic Habits. And it talks about just the idea of getting 1% better every day. Not necessarily, it goes along with that. I don't remember who said this first, but I saw it from Nipsey Hussle. And he talked about not focusing on building a brick wall, right? But focus on laying a brick every single day. And eventually you'll have a brick wall, right? So that same concept of doing it every day. And it will. Like sometimes you'll feel really energized, really inspired. And one brick will be 10 bricks, right? And it's going to move the process along. But like Najari is saying, just lay a brick every day. 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Sure. Now, on the polar opposite, let's go back 10 years and say you're coaching yourself from now. Back then, what are some things that you say, hey, you don't have to do that or focus as much attention into that aspect right now? What kind of advice would you give yourself?
Find focus, like focus on not a whole bunch of things, but one thing. Like that. You can spread your energy out really thin.
Yeah.
That, having like 30 different projects and, it's something that can happen. If you got 30 different projects, you're not going to complete everything all at the same time.
Right.
There's this extra boost of energy that you have to complete something. So start with one thing that you can complete and then start with the next thing. Before I started the gallery, the Rich City Gallery, the bike shop is 7 years old.
Wow.
Right? The nonprofit has been around for nearly 10 years, as we just said, 9.5.
Yeah, congratulations.
There's nothing wrong with doing just one thing and building that one thing up as strong as you can.
Man.
And then they all kind of work together. It's like, I like to use plants as a reference. Like nobody tells a tree how tall to grow. But a tree, the roots are growing before anybody sees anything pop in the ground.
Right.
And then, it's not like the tree starts off with 100 branches. It's a branch here. I was in the garden today, in my yard, and there was one flower. It was a long vine, and it was like lots of things coming out, but there was just one flower. And I was like, yeah, that's the metaphor for me. So
It's a process.
but before you know it, there's more flowers.
Mm.
There's more branches. All off of that 15 minutes that you gave each day.
Man, that's some free game. I really hope y'all wrote that down. If you didn't, just rewind that back real quick. Rewind that back because that was outstanding information. But let me ask you this. So, Najari, what is the next flower for Rich City Rides?
We're still developing the gallery, and one thing that I was thinking about with Rich City Rides is just like what is it that we do, and I was just writing this morning, reading from my journal. What we do is we're creating social justice focused communities with bikes. What we're doing is we're uniting communities with bikes. What we're doing is, and I've said this before, and I just like saying it because it's where we're going. We're building a rich city. A rich city is when we think of like,
you're embodying
ancient empires that were rich, they were poor people. And so that goes against what a rich empire should be. A rich city, as we're building it, is a place where everybody has what they need. Everybody has access to opportunities. And when I think of it as justice focused, poverty is a sign of injustice. So justice means righting whatever the conditions were that created that poverty.
Wow, that's powerful.
So when I think of the legacy, when I consider the legacy of America, righting that injustice, that's reparations. That's us being real. I'm against apologizing so much, in my person as now, because I unless it comes with this is what I should have done, this is what I'm gonna do.
Accountability.
That accountability is deep, like when people apologize and they say sorry to me real quick, I'm like, do you even know what you did? Because if you don't know what you did, you're doomed to do it again.
Yeah. You just saying it just to say.
You're just saying it to smooth it over.
Yeah.
Nah, let's get to the root of it so that it doesn't happen again. So we have a stronger relationship.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about it. And what you were just saying reminds me of the Martin Luther King quote. He said, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." And that's a really powerful intention that you set to truly build a rich city. Right, and who would have thought it would have started with bikes, of all things? But that's the power of the human spirit, the human intention. Right, you put it into the universe, and we will be blessed back. So that's very inspiring, bro.
It's magical.
Where do you see the gallery in the next year or two, or next few years?
We want to we are opening up the gallery.
I like how you switched that up instantly. I don't know if y'all caught that while he was talking.
You caught it though, right?
I caught it though. Yeah, I feel it.
Because it's what do we go? Either we doing it or we ain't doing it.
Exactly. Ain't no gray area.
No.
Yeah.
So what we're doing, we're gonna have these tea talks, these conversations with community members. We're gonna open it up with conversations with Black men. And when you think of the word familiar and family is familiar with each other. There's reasons why these words sound similar. I want to expand family by starting with Black men, getting Black men familiar with each other. So that when we see each other in the street, we're like, yo, how you doing? I care about how your day is. What do you need?
We're building together.
We were able to say, yo, this is what I need. This is what I'm doing. Oh, that's what you're doing. Because when you speak things into the universe, a closed mouth don't get fed, squeaky wheel don't get no oil. If you say it and people know it, they know they know how to support it. So I want people to start speaking on the things that they want, and don't just, speaking it is just one part of it. You got to be about the action. You got to be making actions towards everything that you want to speak, that you're speaking into existence.
Come on.
You just full of game. I was like, oh, keep going. I'm taking notes. Okay. All right. Outstanding, brother. So Just coming to a close. I mean, I know we got a few minutes left, and you shared some really, really powerful, amazing things with us. Well, what are some things that you would like to leave our audience with? Like, especially people that this podcast, this radio show is geared towards people who have a dream, as Kat mentioned, people who might feel stuck, but they know that there's something that's greater for them out there, and they just need the right resources and motivation to get to that next level.
Yeah, if you have any like books or recommendations, that helped you on your journey.
Yes.
Well, there's a book I'm reading now that's guiding what we're doing in February. I can't think of the name. It's the Question Bridge.
Okay.
Some of my good friends who are in that book. Shout out to Malik Seneferu and his beautiful wife,
yes,
Karen Seneferu. So I was talking to Malik, and Malik was one of the first people I met when I came to the Bay.
Me too.
And I told him that I was looking to get into doing my artwork again, and he told me just do 3 minutes a day.
Wow.
How about that? He told me that a week ago. I was like, damn, I'm on the right track.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the book. Another good brother, Dwayne Detterville, is in the book. So yeah, the Question Bridge. I would encourage people to check that. Well, that's what I'm reading. But if you're looking to for inspirational purposes, I'm gonna tell people, even if you don't know what it is that you want to do, choose anything and do it for 15 minutes. Some people don't know what it is that they want to do. Do anything for 15 minutes.
Consistent.
Breathe for 15 minutes. Intentionally, deep breathing through the nose, out the mouth. 15 minutes. Go for a walk for 15 minutes. Just don't. If you miss a day, it takes away more energy than you built up.
Right.
And every day that you do this consistent activity of building energy,
right,
the energy builds on the energy of the previous day. When you could say that you've done something 40 times, you're probably going to do it the 41st time because you don't want to break your streak.
That's funny. I have a client. She started maybe like a year and a half ago, just with, like you said, a simple 15-minute walk. She's now walked over 400 or 5. I think she's almost at 500 days in a row. She's been walking 500. She started off and she was like, okay, I'm going to go 30 days. And then I think it started off with a 30-day challenge. And then when she got to the 30-day marker, she was like, okay, I'm going to get to 60 days. And then every month she's like, she just wants to keep on going. She doesn't want to break that streak. She sees it. She feels that energy. She feels those endorphins releasing. And she's done some amazing things throughout this entire time, but it just started with that one thing. You know what I mean?
I wonder if Steph Curry counts how many shots he
gets
Absolutely.
in. How many times he
misses?
No, how many times he makes an attempt.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
How often he practices.
Yeah.
Yeah. Success leaves clues. That's fantastic. Let me ask you this before we wrap up. So, speaking on the subject of bikes, I know we got some serious bikers who listen to this show too. Shout out to the bikers. But what has been your longest ride to date?
I did 70 miles.
70 miles?
I'm right with you, brother.
What?
I did 70 miles too. I think maybe between 70 and 75.
Wow.
Mountain Pikes. We went on a ride one time and it was 5-6 hours, bro.
70 miles.
I didn't even know what I was getting myself into.
Wait, time out. So what's 70 miles away? Give us some context. What's 70 miles from?
Well, it wasn't a 70. It was around it.
Okay.
Did a big old
circle. but still, what's I'm thinking
I rode from my house to Napa and back. And
Napa?
Yeah, from my house
on a bike.
On a bike across the bridge, everything all the way down. Sonoma, all the way down into downtown Napa. Actually, a little past downtown Napa, and it was 15 miles out, and then 15 miles back. It's only a 30-mile ride, 40-mile ride.
Holy.
You know what I'm saying? But
all right, shout out to the winners. The winners win. That's that on that.
Man. All right, brother Najari, can you let everybody know where they can find you, website, social media, if they want to get in contact with you for more information, because you definitely fueled a lot of people today with so many jewels.
Yeah, I could do that. But check this out this year, because we did 2 century rides. That's 100 miles. I only did half on my attempt last year. And we had like 15 people who did their first centuries that, during the process of doing these centuries.
A century is 100 miles.
100?
Yeah, I haven't done one of those yet. I planned on doing one. One of my boys wanted us to ride from out here all the way out to Sac and back. And
Sacramento?
Yeah, Sac and it was like 4 days. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's a wild boy for that.
Shout out to our director of community development, Jason Woody, who led that ride. His wonderful partner, beautiful partner, Maria, who actually helped me, gave me some tips while I was riding, because I was at like 50 miles and, starting to run out of gas, run out of breath.
Man. Hopefully you brought some snacks.
I did not. I wasn't hydrated.
Wow.
I wasn't prepared. Maria,
you was shaky out there. Your blood sugar got low. You was like, oh man, my body.
It reminded me to check my gears and check my shifting and breathe while I was riding. So thank you for that. You can find us we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. You look up RichCityRides and follow us. That's the best way to find out what's coming up. And
that's on Instagram?
That's on Instagram. Even better, check out our website, RichCityRides.org.
Oh, y'all official.
Yeah. And you check out our events calendar, ways to support us on there as well.
And like getting involved, finding out about future events, all that's on the site.
All of that's on the site.
Uh-oh.
And every Sunday we're starting up our Sunday rides. There's our self-care Sunday rides. Every Sunday we meet at Unity Park at 16th in Ohio. That's the exact address, 1605 Ohio Avenue. That's Richmond, California.
What time?
At 10 a.m. is when we start gathering. Roll out at 11.
Wow.
If you need a bike, we have an Everybody Rides program. We've given away over 3,000 bikes since we started. And there's a form on the website where if you need a bike, you can get a bike for free. If you're looking to purchase a new bike, or if you need any accessories and things, please do support our locally owned, Black-owned, worker cooperative bike shop in Richmond. I'm one of the co-founders and one of the co-owners, along with Tay McGee, at 1500 McDonald Avenue. We are open Monday through Friday from 12 to 5 p.m.
Wow.
And Saturdays from 10 to 3 p.m.
Wow. All right. Shout out to RichCityRides. Shout out to Najari Smith. Shout out to Richmond, California, and everybody listening to the show. This has been fantastic. What you got, Kat?
I'm going to have you close us out today, brother. Brother Quezzy.
Goodness. This is another classic episode of the Anything Can Happen show. Thank you so much for joining us every single Thursday on Instagram Live. That's at ach.show every single Thursday. You can also catch us at kgpc96.9.org/anything can happen to find this episode, past episodes, future episodes. Tap in with the crew every Thursday at noon. Peace. Another one.
Boom. Come on. Working magic.
Thanks for joining us, y'all. Stay tuned.
Boom. Before Felicia, can we get a drop from you real quick? Be like, hey, this is Najari from RichCityRides. You're tuned in to the Anything Can Happen show. Check out this amazing episode. Absolutely. She'll give us, Miss Felicia, give us the cue.
And Hey,
Easy.
this is Najari Smith, Executive Director of Rich City Rides, Richmond, California.